All right, hello. It's about 12:15 on Sunday. I'm driving over to the movies. I'm gonna go see Mad Max Fury Road. It just opened yesterday. I pulled into a little side area here where you can get a beverage at the Combini. I don't know if you can see back there. That guy's probably wondering why I'm pointing my camera at him. There's the ocean. Sea of Japan. And some of you said, you kind of miss, I'm doing the live show now every Sunday. I'm going to do it tonight. But you say you're missing some driving videos, so I'll give you some driving footage. I'm going to attempt to put it in the visor here on the other side and speak loudly, and hopefully it will work. And you can just see what I see as I drive along here in rural Japan. So let's put it in here. Let's hope it doesn't turn itself off. I'll set it in there. Sorry, I need to... Okay. So hopefully that's down enough to where it's not angling completely up. That guy's pulling out, so I think I will do the same. I'm going to turn on some aircon. I'm going to roll up my windows. So that's going to be loud for a minute. Alright, merge we go. Alright, I hope it's not too bumpy. So how are you guys doing? It's almost the end of June. I just finished a big project at work. I think I mentioned it before. I publish a magazine with another teacher. She's in charge of it. And when I got hired, she said, Adobe, right? You know how to do InDesign and Photoshop. And I was like, sure, and not really knowing how much I would need to be able to do those things. But I've learned a lot over the past 5 years, and now we put out a pretty decent little magazine for the school. We get writings from different countries. This time we had writings from Korea and China and Russia, and student writings from our university, and lots of pictures, and it's 24 pages of work. So that's a lot of layout if you've ever done that kind of thing, desktop publishing. And I do use Adobe InDesign. And it takes about 2 solid weeks of very concentrated work to get it all done. We do a much easier newspaper in the fall semester because it's A, black and white, so you don't have to worry about the colors as much. And B, it's only 8 pages. But we do 3 of them, one every month, November, December, and January, whereas we only do 1 magazine in the spring semester. All right, so we're heading in. Obviously I can't really move the camera around, but hopefully you can see the ocean there on your left. I don't know if I filmed this part of the journey before to the movie theater. I probably have. I should go back and look and see what parts of this kind of 2-hour journey I haven't filmed yet and try to get some of that for you guys. So tonight we're going to be talking about movies and music, mainly with Mully. Mully is going to be my guest tonight on Argo on Air. But some other things that have come up, like in the newspaper today, there's 24 sports that have applied to be allowed to be in the Olympics in 2020 in Tokyo. And it's interesting, some of the list. I don't obviously have the newspaper in front of me as I'm driving here, but chess, bridge, bowling, those were some of the ones that I'm like, okay. Other things that you would think would be in there maybe, like baseball, softball got taken out. They want to get back in. American football has applied to be in the Olympics, which would be weird. Sumo has applied to be an Olympic sport. Obviously not played everywhere in the world, but dominated by foreigners at the moment. So certainly a team from Mongolia, a team from Estonia, a team from Egypt, a team from America, a team from Canada. I mean, these could be possibilities. The Japan team would not have a Yokozuna on it. It would be maybe Kiseno Sato and Goeido and Kotoshogiku and who else would it be in there? Maybe Endo and somebody else. The Mongolian team would gotta be. You gotta think they would dominate. You know, Ichinojo, Teru no Fuji, and the 3 Yokozuna. Boom, right there. That's a powerful team. Anyway, some water sports. What else is in there? Like netball, which my mom used to play in the UK, which is kind of like basketball with no dribbling. All kinds of things. It was just interesting to see what sports had applied to be admitted into the Olympics. I definitely think softball, those girls don't have a professional league, at least not in America. So it's nice for them. Baseball, it's kind of like basketball. If the Americans send an all-star team, it's pretty hard to compete. And then we have that World Baseball Classic now where, like, Team Japan, sends a team, and, everybody sends a team that's not America to compete. So, I don't know. I'm kind of ambivalent about baseball being in the Olympics. But, other things are. Soccer is, tennis is, so, why not? What else was in the paper today? There was an interesting story, and I want to get into it. Maybe I'll try to talk to Molly about it, but this will be the one other thing. I don't want this video to be super long. We're heading into a town now called Oda, and Odashi, the SHI suffix means town or city. So Odashi is mainly known as the town that includes Mount Sanbei. Mount Sanbei is the tallest mountain in Shimane Prefecture. Got a big mall over here, kind of a strip mall on the left. And so it's an access point, and this is where I used to come with students when I was in ALT in Izumo. They have kind of a youth center, kind of a lodge, dormitory, there's a gym there, and, meeting rooms, and so you can have big events there, kind of at the in the foothills of Sanbei, and you can go hiking, and we used to have a 3-day English camp there for Shimane students called Chess Camp for High School English Students of Shimane. And nothing to do with playing chess. It was all about speaking English and that kind of thing. And generally, it got whittled down over the years, unfortunately. And now it's a 1-day camp, if you can call it a camp anymore, because you don't stay overnight. And it's a 1-day happening, I guess, from like 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it's a shadow of its former self. But the kids still enjoy it. I went last year or the year before and helped out as a JET alumni. And it's happening again in July this year. So that's Oda, and it's a smallish town in Shimane, not as big as Izumo or Matsue, but bigger than others. And we'll drive through it here in about 5 minutes, although we obviously have some lights here. Okay, so the story I wanted to talk about was in the paper today, and basically there was a boy, and he was about 14 years old, I think, and back in the 90s, and he was called Boy A. They couldn't give his name out because of, protecting the privacy of minors, and he killed 2 other children. He was 14, and I think the 2 people he killed were like 12 and 13, and pretty heinously, from what I remember reading about it. I wasn't in Japan back then. I didn't come to Japan until 2004. But I remember hearing about this when another horrific juvenile crime happened about 2 years ago, where that girl chopped up one of her friends. Anyway, so he's now 32 or so, the boy who committed these crimes, and he's written a memoir of his life, and basically, his state of mind as he recalls it, things that led up to the crimes, details about the crimes, etc. And he went through, he was 14, so he didn't get tried as an adult. He went through the juvenile courts and was put in a juvenile facility, probably, a psychiatric facility for some of that time. And after about 6 years, he was released, and his anonymity was kept intact. No one, I think he was basically given a new identity. And if you met him today, you would know, obviously, that he was that person. And he doesn't use his real name on the book. He just calls himself Boy A. And so the people are some people are up in arms. Some people say, well, it's freedom of expression, blah, blah, blah. And other people say, well, he should have gotten the consent of the victims' families, the 2 people that he killed. He should have asked their permission. And of course, he didn't. And one of the families is vocally against the publication of the book. They use the real names of the people that died, the victims, in the book. And so then some people say, well, if he makes any money from the book, which, he will, he should probably make at least 10% for every copy sold. So, if it sells 100,000 copies, he'd make about $15,000 or something. I can't remember the math. But anyway, he should give that money to the families, as opposed to making a profit off of an evil thing that he did. And some people say, well, that's not really the point. Other people say, well, a little bit of a weird traffic jam there. Other people say, well, there was another case where a man killed a UK woman, and this happened right after I came to Japan about 10 years ago, and he put her in the bathtub and covered it with sand, and it was a big sensational trial. She was an Eikaiwa teacher, and he stalked her and killed her, and he wrote a book about that, and but he gave all, like, 11 million yen, which is $11,000, something like that he made. He tried to give it to the family, the surviving parents of this woman, and they refused. They said, no, we don't want it. And so he donated it to a charity that goes to help victims of violent crimes or something. But anyway, the question of money and blah, blah, blah is not really the issue. The question is, should the book be allowed to be published? Some bookstores are pulling it, I guess, to show support for the families. Some bookstores are like, hey, if the readers want it, we're here to facilitate what they want. So it's an interesting case, mainly because he never really went to prison. Now, in America, there's laws against this kind of thing. Son of Sam laws, I think they're called, that you can't profit from an evil act type of thing. So somebody else can write a book about, Charles Manson or something, but Charles Manson himself can't write a book and make money from it. So I don't think they have those kind of laws in Japan. So I guess that's my question. What do you think about that? Let me see if I pull this like this. You can kind of go this way with me, maybe. And you can just see a little bit to the side instead of to the front. Anyway, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I certainly don't want to read the book. It's only going to be in Japanese anyway, at least at the first. But it's going to bounce because it's not as stable in the little catch. That's the problem with doing this. But I feel like it should be allowed to be published. I guess that's my First Amendment, Americanness showing through. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough call. I definitely don't think he should make money from it, though. I think any money that he would get as the author should go into a trust and go to a charity or something like that. And I have no idea what he's doing for a living now as an adult, etc. Maybe he talks about that in the book. But anyway, so that was just something that caught my interest. That was on the second page of the paper. The sports thing was on the front page. And Molly and I might, just jump in and chat. We might also, the other thing we were chatting about last night on 2.5 Oyaji with Victor and Hiko was the woman in America, the NAACP woman who, you know, identified as black even though she's not black and had to resign because of it. And they were actually pretty opposite opinions. Victor was like, you know, she can't say she's black, you know, it's just, you can't. And Hiko was more like, well, if she culturally identifies as black and blah, 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 you know, why isn't that okay? And so they were having an interesting discussion about it. I might talk about that, but I don't know if I'll talk about that tonight with Molly, because I don't want it to overwhelm. You know, we could talk about that for 20 minutes and then have no time for awesome 80s, which is what we're going to mainly talk about. You know, for him, it's going to be heavy metal and his evolution into, you know, somebody that really likes, you know, Van Halen and those types of groups and playing guitar and being in a band here in Japan, etc. And for me, you know, I like Van Halen, I like some heavy metal, but that's certainly not my main musical interest. So even though I think we're about the same age, I was born in 1969, and I think Molly was born in 1968. Okay, I'm going to switch this around here. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm not, because I'm going to have to take it out here in a second and turn the button. Actually, I'm going to pull right over right here right now. This is actually a bus stop. Okay. Oh, that's going to be way too long. I bet you this is not going to upload on YouTube easily. All right, peace. Thanks for watching. If you watched the whole thing, driving in Japan. See ya.